I'm so happy that I can continue to do my Sunday flow using technology. Yay, Facebook. So I'm excited about sharing my 7 points to cope because the statistics, the alarm, the anxiety, the news cycle is just ramping up. And what we want to understand is that there are 2 viruses happening. There are 2 viruses that are spreading. They call them contagions, which means that it is contagious. There are 2 contagions. A virus that is going throughout the world. And the first one we know is attacking the physical body, but there is a contagion that is spreading that is attacking the mind. It is attacking the mind. And so what we want to do is get equipped so we won't be whipped by these circumstances, by this historical time that we're living in. It's called social contagions. And so when we look at panic posts, there's a lot of panic posts going around. There's a lot of panic conversation. And I'm not in denial or naive that we're living in some very challenging and tragic times. The alarming numbers of death and hospitalizations and limitations that governments are experiencing. But if we are too exposed to the virus called social contagion, panic conversations and panic posts, it will do much harm to our mental and emotional state. So what the word I want to focus on is hope. Hope is very important. And hope doesn't mean that we just sit back and hope that everything works itself out and we do nothing. It doesn't negate us from taking action, but hope should be in your survival kit. Hope should be in your prayers. Hope should be in your conversations. Keep hope alive. We used to hear Reverend Jesse Jackson say that, and I get it now. We've got to keep the hope alive. Otherwise, we will fall prey to emotional, social, and mental contagions that will cause us to worry and go down a rabbit hole and just live with what if, what if, what if. There is a very thin line between having fear and faith. There is a very thin line between hope and despair. There is a very thin line between feeling empowered and feeling like a victim, like there's nothing we can do. And so we have to learn how to embrace uncertainty. If you're writing notes, I want you to write that down. We have to learn how to embrace uncertainty. We've always had that, but for some reason, by us living busy lives and having the freedom that we have here in the States, by having such an excess of options to do, we can go to the theater, the concert, the park, the ocean, the mall, family, friends, church, all of those things, that liberty that we had that is now limited is challenging us to embrace uncertainty. It's always been there. But when you can just get up and go and do what you want to do at any time, any day, it gives us a false sense that we are in control, but God is in control of this. And so I want to give you some steps to help you and me on this Sunday Flow Day to embrace uncertainty. And I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. Those of us that have dealt with losing loved ones, those of you that have been evicted or lost your job or lost a marriage or lost a breast, those of you that have dealt with some level of adversity in the past, maybe you dealt with some dysfunction and challenges in your family, maybe you dealt with money issues, maybe you dealt with going from job to job to job, maybe you've dealt with betrayal and heartache, and you've dealt with having to start all over again and reset all over again and accept that life is unpredictable and it's not always fair. Those people like that are more prepared and their brain is more wired to accept that life is full of uncertainty. So the theme, the context that I want to give you today is all under the umbrella of hope, that we cannot give up hope. We cannot abandon ship. We cannot just throw our hands up in the air. We've got to continue to stand on God's word. We've got to continue to be resilient and wake up and have hope. Hope does not mean that we are blind. Hope does not mean that we're living in a Pollyannish mindset like, I just hope it all gets better. We all have our role to play, and that is being safe, and that is practicing all the safe practices that they're putting into place, and understanding that the playbook is changing day by day. And so when people are upset and angry and frustrated and short-tempered because they don't understand and they can't get through on the phone and they can't get this happening, it's because they're not embracing uncertainty. There's somebody that's watching this today. You have dealt with uncertainty in the past. You didn't know how you were going to pay your bills. You didn't know where you were going to get your housing. You didn't know if you were going to get a job. You didn't know that you would heal after divorce or after breast cancer or standing at the graveside of a loved one. You didn't know how you were going to get through being a single parent. You didn't know how you were going to get through your college studies, but you did. And you're stronger for it. Your faith muscles are stronger because you're like, okay, I'm used to uncertainty. I'm used to starting all over again. I'm used to trusting God and not leaning into my own understanding. But those that are not used to dealing with adversity, I wrote some time ago that we should all sit in the front row of the University of Adversity, and we should always be taking notes. And some people are in the back of the classroom. They're sleeping. They're not paying attention to the teacher. And life is teaching and is teaching us something. And we better be in the front row of the University of Adversity and learn these 7 things that I'm going to share with you. I thank God for the download. I thank God for the insight. I thank God for the remembrance of things that have brought me through challenges, and through the challenges that I've seen my tribe, my family, my coaching and counseling clients, hearing stories, unimaginable stories of pain, unimaginable stories of what would be perceived as unfair, unimaginable stories of suffering, and yet people rise again. That's why Dr. Maya Angelou wrote that. We will rise again. Now, we know that it will not be the same, that we are in the midst of creating a new normal. And so on this Sunday flow, I want to share with you how we can flow and navigate through the radical changes that are happening. I'm excited about the 7 points because it's blessing me. It is helping me to get up each day and get myself presentable, put my clothes on, put my face on, put my jewelry on, put my hair on, whatever I need to do to get some sense of normalcy. I am doing that because I have hope. I have hope that we're going to get through this. I have hope that we will be able to flatten the curve. I have hope that even though all of my speaking engagements have been canceled, I have hope that even though many of you have been affected by this economic tsunami, that we're going to get through this. I speak life. I speak life because the word of God says there is life and there is death in the tongue. So let your conversations have hope. When you're in your prayer closet, speak hope. When you are online and social media, don't post panic posts, because that is the virus that is spreading. There will be people that will not survive, not because they were physically infected by the virus, COVID virus, but infected by emotional panic and terror and hysteria. The mind is powerful. And if you are not surrounding yourself with people and information and things that your eye gate sees and your ear gate sees, if you're not downloading things that give you hope, and you know, I do sign language, so I want to share with you what hope looks like in sign language. I want to show you what hope looks like in sign language. You put your hands in the air like this, and you do like this. It's like you're grabbing onto something. You're taking it in. Hope. Do that with me. This is hope. It's like you're bringing down heaven. You're bringing down the angels. You're bringing down the love of God, the glory of God. I have hope. I'm taking it in. I'm feeling blessed. I'm covering myself. That is hope. And hope, again, does not mean we just sit on the couch and do nothing. There are people out there serving the homeless. There are medical professions flying in from all over the world that are helping hospitals. There are people making masks. There are people making phone calls. There are people reaching out to others. There are people visiting others and dropping off supplies. There are people praying. There are people helping the children get through this. The children don't even know what's happening, but they are adding to the atmosphere of peace and unity and love so that we can all get through this. There are teachers teaching from home. I have a niece in Texas. She is a telemedicine doctor for pediatricians. And I was able to talk to Dr. Stormy, and she was able to calm me down when I was concerned about my grandson and my bonus grandgirls. Like, how do we deal with if they start sneezing or coughing, and what if they're not eating? And she was able to calm me down with information based on their age and based on their symptoms. So there are people out there serving. We've got sanitation workers. We've got store clerks stocking shelves. We've got people, doctors, nurses. There are people watching other people's children so they could go to work. There are teachers. There are people that are making things happen. So we have to stop and have gratitude for those people. So on this day of Sunday Flow, I want to share with you my 7 tips. And what I want to preface this with is that even though many of us are aggravated, let's tell the truth. Many of us are aggravated at the political games that we're watching. Yes, we're aggravated. We are hurt. We are weary. We are losing trust. And what happens is that when we lose trust, it's this very scary place to be. If you stop trusting God, if you stop trusting your family and friends, if you stop trusting government, if you stop trusting leaders, it will take you to a very dark place. You see, when a person has been betrayed in a relationship or a marriage or in a church or on their job, if they're not careful, they will disconnect, they will become cynical, and they will begin to isolate. So even though many of us are agitated and we just really, we're angry, we cannot allow that broken trust to cause us to not still vote, not still be engaged in our community. We cannot afford to shut down. And that's what happens to many people that experience broken trust. Like, I don't want to deal with people anymore. I don't care anymore. I'm not talking to people anymore. I'm not getting married again. I'm not going to church again. I don't trust friends anymore. I don't want to share my life or my secrets or my dreams or my goals with anybody. I'm not talking to anybody. That's a very dangerous place to be when trust is broken. So even though we're seeing on many different levels in government, local government, national government, we're seeing broken trust. We cannot afford to allow that to become cynical. We can't. We've got to stay alert. We've got to stay woke. We've got to stay engaged. We've got to stay informed. And we must know, what can we do from our platform? Broken trust makes people point fingers, blame other people, become nasty, become isolated, and very apathetic. And this is a danger that I'm concerned about. People that are not used to dealing with adversity will just take their marbles. I'm going home. I'm not playing no more. No, we need to keep trust and hope alive. So on Sunday Flow, I'm going to share with you my 7 tips. And the first one is, and they all start with C. You guys know how I am. Everything comes to me by a letter. And so today's letter, like they say on Sesame Street, today's letter is C. C. And so my first one is connection. So the first letter, the first of the 7 is connection. This is why I'm doing this. We were doing Sunday Flow at Barbara Morrison's museum in LA, but now we're doing it online so that we can stay connected to one another. We've got to find ways to stay connected. Phone calls, text messages, video. There's so many different applications you can download. There's WhatsApp, there's Google, there's Zoom, there's Facebook. There's another one called Duo. But find a way to stay connected. We are in a survival mode right now. We're in a survival mode. We do not need to be alone. So our first principle on this Sunday Flow is stay connected. And if I'm getting on your nerves because I'm texting you a lot, or you're getting my newsletter, or you see my post on Facebook, too bad. Because not only am I telling you to stay connected, but I've got to stay connected. It's important for my emotional and mental health, my spirit and my soul to feel connected, because staying home, I'm an ambivert. I can be introverted and I can be extroverted. I mean, I can do both. But staying home every day and not doing the things that I love, I have to make sure that I stay connected. Okay? So there's no excuse. If you've got a phone, you can text, you can do video. I'm FaceTiming my grandson, and every time I see that little, did you know I have a grandchild? Did you know that? Yeah, his name is Cody. Anyway, every time I get a FaceTime with my son and my grandson and my bonus girls, I'm like, yes. When I get I got to do video with my sisters and my goddaughter Toy. When I get to do that, it's like, okay, it's like it does something to my heart and my soul to stay connected. So that's the first C. Are you writing it down? You writing it down? Okay. The second one is cope. Another word for cope is adapt. And adapting is a skill set. There's some people that are not adapting well at all. They are shutting down. There are people that are just scared to death. Isn't that an interesting phrase we've heard before? Scared to death. Do you know you can be scared to death if you can't cope? If you cannot adapt? There is a new normal. Everything we do is different. Everything. When we go to the grocery store, how we go to the grocery store, if we can go to the grocery store, how we're paying our bills, how we're dealing with life. Everything has changed. And if you cannot adapt, it's so important. I think in terms of water, it says that when you adapt, you need to be fluid. You need to be able to go with the flow. You need to be shapeless and fluid. The opposite of being fluid is rigid. So when you find yourself tense and you don't want to change and you're resisting, this is not healthy for you physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. We have to know how to go with the flow. We have to be like water. Water takes many different shapes. In fact, it has no shape. It takes the shape of the container. So adapting is a survival skill set. And I've read many different books that talk about adapt or perish. Adapt or perish. I believe it was Charles Darwin who said, it is not the strong that survives in a crisis. It is the one that can adapt. So we can kick and scream and be mad at government and be mad all we want. It's not going to serve you any good. How will you flow through the change? How will you adapt? Use your brains. When you're praying, ask God to help you to adapt. If you recognize that you are rigid and you're angry and you're aggravated, ask the Lord to help you to be like water, to be fluid, to flow, to trust. Number 3 is kindness. Now, I know kindness doesn't start with a C, but it sounds like it, doesn't it? But anyway, kindness. Let's get through this crisis by being kind and patient with one another. You could look at people and think they're doing great, and they could snap at any moment. They could. Some people wear great masks, and you wouldn't even know that beneath that mask is turbulent waters, is fear and worry and sickness. But a smile, a phone call, a text. When I go to the grocery store, I never used to really acknowledge my grocery store team. But I'm telling each and every one of them as I pass, thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. When I'm calling to deal with my Sprint bill and other things I'm dealing with, I am patient. If I got to sit on the phone for an hour to get through to you, I'll sit on the phone for an hour. And then when you get on the phone, I'm not going to rant and rave. It took you too long. No, I'm like, thank you. How are you? What is your name? Look, my name is Jewel, and this is my question. I am patient because people that are dealing with customer service, they are inundated with phone calls. And so practice kindness with one another. There are many people that are experiencing cabin fever with your mate or with your children or with elders that are challenged with their attitude because of dementia or Alzheimer, or they're in physical pain. And when you're in physical pain, you already have a heightened sense of defensiveness and sensitivity. So practice kindness. Everybody is affected. Everybody. Landlords, tenants, business owners, the medical profession, the fire department, the police department, the stores. Everybody is affected. And you and I can be a vessel of kindness and patience to get through this. So we've got to 3 points so far of my 7 points for coping with the COVID-19. The first one was connection. The second one was cope. In other words, adapt, flow. And the third one is kindness. Now the fourth one is calm. In sign language, this is calm. This is peace. This is calm. Calm. Why must you practice being calm? Because it's in the stillness that you can manage your heartbeat, your high blood pressure. It is in the calmness that you can hear God speaking. It is in the calmness that you will get guidance what you need to do. Because many times throughout the day, we have to ask ourselves, God, what's next? On a global level or a national level, but what's next? What do I need to do today to create some calm in my mind, my body, and my spirit? How do I remain calm? My next project that I'm going to be working on this week, I'm going to create a meditation video that will go up on my YouTube channel. It's just going to be strictly meditation, music, and me speaking, so that you'll have a tool in your toolbox when you want something that is calm, that will calm your spirit. Now, why am I doing that? Because when you get used to hearing a certain voice, like for instance, when I watch This Is Us, or I watch Carol Burnett, or I watch Living Single, or I watch Martin, those voices become part of they're part of my village. They're part of my extended family. And the voices are familiar. And they calm my mind because like, yeah, I know who that is. I recognize that voice. And so for some of you that have had my CDs in the past, or you've been to my speaking engagements, and if your spirit resonates with my voice, when you hear my meditation, it will be a source of calming because you say, oh, I know her. I know that voice. And so I'm going to just go ahead and create that. There was part of my mind that says don't do it, but then I decided I'm going to go ahead and do it because I'm going to do it for me. I'm gonna create a meditation video for me. Okay. So my fourth tool is to calm your nerves, regulate your blood pressure, get your heartbeat under control by creating calmness in your home, calmness in your mind. Because if you don't, the mind is going to go down a rabbit's hole of what if, doom and gloom. So I want to give you that tool. The next tip is clutter. What clutter can you get rid of? Someone sent me earlier today some text messages of things that I typed in the 1980s when I had the Enlightened Circle. Obviously, she's cleaning out things, and I could not believe the handouts that I used to type. And she's like, these are things that I found. I've been working on my shoes. I worked on my kitchen cupboards. I still have so much more to do. I've got to work on my garage. But these are projects that can keep my hands busy, my mind busy. And when all this is over, I'm going to look back and feel so good because I'll feel organized and I will feel like, yes, I worked on my office. I got rid of a lot of things. I still have a lot more to do. And that is something that I'm doing to cope with this time of staying in and staying home. Oh, there's so much I can do. There's so much you can do. What about cleaning out your closet, cleaning out the drawers, cleaning out your car, cleaning out your trunk, cleaning out your purses? I tell you, when you guys see me again for the next Sunday Flow, when we can be together, I'm going to be bringing purses and shoes that I realize I don't need. When I look at the waste of money that I have spent on shoes and purses, So declutter, get rid of the clutter, take the time, go through your papers, go get the clutter off your phone. I've been deleting things off my phone, freeing up space, and I've been deleting on my PC, my computer, to free up more space. I'm like, I don't need those pictures anymore, or I don't need those files anymore. And it feels really good to just clear space, clear out space. Okay. And I also have a decluttering ebook that I wrote years ago. And for any size donation, it could be $1, it could be $100, whatever donation you want to give, I will send you my ebook on decluttering. And it's a message that deals with not only decluttering your physical space, but decluttering your mind. You know, worry, grief, anger, fear, stress. There's things in your mind that you have to let go of. And I promise you, when you practice the inner and the outer clearing, amazing things begin to happen. So that is number 5, clutter. Number six is creativity. Everything that I've been reading about a crisis, everything I've been reading about wartime, times of upheaval, they all say that a crisis is a time for opportunity. It is a time to use your brain because you're not on automatic pilot anymore. You've got to think through some things. And you are intelligent. You have ideas. And this time of slowing down your pace is a time to birth some of your ideas, to birth your books, to birth that project. Charmaine, who is in our tribe, many of my dresses that I wear, you know, Charmaine designs my dresses. Well, she is creating masks. I ordered my masks. You know, creativity is about rethinking things, doing things differently, thinking differently. Because I believe a lot of us have been on autopilot. Just get up, go to work, get on the freeway, leave it dark, come home it's dark, eat, go fast food, go to bed, start all over again on the hamster's wheel. And you're not thinking, you're just on automatic pilot. When your life has been turned upside down, When the rules have changed, when there's a new normal, you've got to rethink how you used to do things. So I looked up some of the things, the creativity that has been happening as a result of the COVID-19 crisis. You know about the Dyson vacuum cleaners? Dyson created 15,000 ventilators. There are people that are now doing their own nails. I saw Tony Malone, who's part of our tribe. She's like, look, I did my own nails. Yeah. There are people coming up with new recipes. There have been 1,700 engineers working on a project from Google. Audible, you heard about Audible? Audible is the app that you can hear a book. Audible is now offering free books to children. Comcast is boosting its internet speeds and offering free service for low-income customers. Zoom is offering service to schools. It has lifted its 40-minute limitation for meetings. What am I talking about? I'm talking about creativity. I'm talking about how I've seen on Zoom birthday parties. I even saw a wedding. People are getting creative. Joanne Fabrics. I used to go to that store a lot. Joanne Fabrics is donating their crafts and supplies to help create masks. Ford Motor Company, Chrysler, Fiat, and GM are producing parts to make face shields. Creativity. Girl Scouts, they're delivering free cookies to hospital employees. Croc shoes, those Croc shoes, they're so comfortable. They're giving away free 10,000 pairs of shoes each day to the medical profession. Creativity. Starbucks is offering free coffee to the medical professionals on the front line. Hotels are offering lodging to the homeless. They should have been doing that anyway. But you see what's happening? Life has been disrupted as we know it. It's a new normal. And so creativity is birthed. The Airbnb, they're offering housing to 100,000 workers on the front line. That's creativity. What are you going to birth? What are you going to do differently? There are people that are working from home that never worked from home before. And they're realizing, their employers are also realizing, okay, we had to adapt. Remember, that was one of the steps. They had to adapt. So I want you to tap into these 7 principles. I'm going to get to the 7th one. We've done 6 of them so far. But CEOs, the government, politicians, business owners, schools, parents are having to be creative in how they live their lives. A new normal has happened. It's very likely it will never be the same again. I know we're going to have a lifting of this. I know the curve is going to get flattened, but haven't we learned a lot? Haven't we learned a lot about ourselves? Haven't we learned a lot about our faith? We learned a lot about family and friends. Who is really on your side? Who has really been checking up on you? Have you learned a lot? Have you learned about your patience? Have you learned that you can you can have less and still be functioning? Have you learned you don't have to eat out all the time? Jewel Diamond Taylor. My stove is like, yeah, girl, glad to see you again. I haven't used my stove so much as I have in these past few days. I'm learning things about myself. I'm learning things about family. I'm learning things about true friends. I'm learning things about God. I'm learning about how resiliency really comes into play when you have to be resilient and you make the choice to be resilient. I'm learning. I'm embracing uncertainty. And that's what I said at the top of the message. We are receiving an invitation to embrace uncertainty. There is nothing promised to us. Nothing. And we live in fool's paradise when we think we're going to live forever. We're living in fool's paradise if we think because we're Christian that we are going to escape pain and suffering. We're living in fool's paradise if we think that all politicians are corrupt, and we're living in fool's paradise if we think all politicians are good. We're learning. The righteous leaders are coming to the surface. We're learning. Churches and ministers are having to adapt. We are courageous. We're standing on the shoulders of people that survived slavery, that survived war, that survived depression, that survived stock market crashes. We're standing on the shoulders of people who lost children, Jewish camps, Chinese camps, the Native American Indians. We've got stories after stories after stories of people who survived, who adapted, who were resilient. And so as I look at my bookshelves and I look at the many books I read, the one book that I'm reviewing, well, actually I'm reviewing two of them. My book, I Am Resilient, the book I wrote after my son passed from cancer. I wrote a book, I Am Resilient. I was speaking life. And the other book is Shift, S-H-I-F-T, Happens. I'm reviewing that. If you would like my ebooks on decluttering, my ebook on I Am Resilient, or my ebook on Shift Happens, again, I am offering it to you. You decide what you'd like to offer as a donation. It could be $1, it could be $100, whatever you'd like to give. Once I receive that, I will send you the download that you can read it, absorb it, and begin to implement those principles that will help you to cope, that will alleviate and minimize the suffering, that will help you to embrace uncertainty. And if you want to know how to do that, you can either do a Cash App, or you can go to my website, womenonthegrow.org, womenonthegrow.org, and as soon as you come up on that website, there is a donation button. And again, I'm not demanding or dictating what the amount should be. Whatever you're capable or how you feel moved to offer, I will send you that ebook today. The 3 ebooks are How to Declutter the Mind as well as your physical environment, the benefits of that. There are many benefits to it. How to get started, to know the rewards from it. The second ebook is I Am Resilient. And even though I wrote that book after my son passed from cancer, it was also speaking to issues of people that are dealing with being resilient from divorce or losing their job or having a loved one incarcerated, or now they're caregivers for their elders, or they're dealing with breast cancer, or they've lost their home, they lost their car, they're about to lose their mind. They've got a dysfunctional family issues and they need to know how to be resilient. That is a powerful ebook I can offer you. And the third one is Shift, S-H-I-F-T, Happens. That is my bestseller book. Now, I have given you 6 of my 7 points to cope with COVID-19. Is Christ. Christ. Tapping into your faith. Having a relationship with the Lord. Studying the Word. Trusting the Lord. Just as Noah had to build an ark, and like, God, I don't know why I'm building this ark, but I will build it. Obedience. Read Proverbs. I love Proverbs. If you look at the word Proverbs, P-R-O means positive, and the second part, V-E-R-B, verb, which means action. So Proverbs is full of positive actions. So as you study the Word of God, and I especially love Psalm 46:10, be still and know that I am God. Be still. And I know it's difficult for some people to be still. And it's interesting that there's so many people in my life that were already working from home. And when I call and check on them, they say, I'm good. I'm used to being home. I check on people that I know that were introverts. And when I check on them, like, I'm good. I don't do people. They're good. But like I said, I'm an ambivert. I love being home, but I love being with people, especially people that I love. I love working. I love speaking. I love teaching. I know I was born for this. And so I'm looking forward to the time that I can be with all of you. I'm looking forward to the time that I can share more with you. I'm looking forward to the time that we can continue to grow and continue to evolve. Because when I talked earlier about coping and adapting, what I'm saying is that we've got to evolve. We can't stay the same. We've got to grow. And challenges and pain and suffering and disruption are invitations to grow, to evolve. Maybe your faith has to grow. Maybe your sense of humor has to grow. Maybe your money habits need to grow. Maybe how you run your home or your business needs to grow. Maybe your discipline needs to grow. And I choose to look at this disruptive time as an opportunity to learn how to go with the flow, adapt, cope,